Good morning.
Good morning, Kelly. How are you?
I'm well. How are you today?
I'm doing good. So, we're drinking our coffee.
Drinking our coffee, available in our shop, twowomenancrypto.com shop.
I
Cheers.
really like this cup though, like no joke. It feels good in your hand too. Like certain mugs, you're just like, this is a good mug to hold while you're drinking your coffee.
Absolutely. Full of good vibes, good juju.
Full of good vibes. You want to support our show here every Friday.
Yep.
Go to twowomenancrypto.com and buy yourself a mug. Get
Join
yourself
us on
a
Friday mornings when you're listening to this podcast, this
present.
this lovely entertainment series that we're doing because we're not financial advisors, but we are comedians on the side. So there you
That's
go.
right. And as comedians, wow, what a show we have today.
Right. There's so much. The world is giving us so much content to play with, isn't it? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It just goes to show you, it's like as nerve-wracking as everything is, what's going on, in our economic environment, as well as the crypto environment, something that we would always say is like, first they ignore you, then they ridicule you, then they fight you, and then you win. So
Right.
we are in this fight mode, and it is war. We are having a war on currency.
Exactly.
I don't know if you saw yesterday, but Gary Gensler is getting fired up. I mean, besides dropping the lawsuits on Coinbase and Binance, he went on national TV and he's like, we don't need any more currencies. We don't need digital currencies. We have the digital dollar, the digital euro, the digital yen. And it's just like, oh, Gary,
Oh,
Gary, Gary,
I hear another song coming, right? Oh, Gary.
oh, Gary.
Yeah.
I mean, what are we going to do when the mass of people don't believe in the United States government anymore? And where are they going to go?
Right.
They're going to go to Bitcoin. They're going to go to some of these other cryptocurrencies. So, what is Gary Gensler and the SEC? And let's just face it, Congress is behind this because they would have done something about it.
Right. And I think, if you parted the curtain on, Congress in general, I would imagine that almost all of them, if not all of them, are holding cryptocurrencies in their portfolios. So
Oh,
it's such a,
absolutely.
it's a smoke and mirror show.
Yep, yep. So, if we think of it that we're at the theater, we're in the second act and we're just sitting here waiting for the grand finale.
Right. Which could take, a few years, honestly. And here in the US, they really want to make it extraordinarily difficult for us to obtain these things and just don't lose hope, folks. Don't feed into the fear of it. Just hold steady.
Hold steady. And like, we're going to talk about like Polygon and the token Matic today. And I think it's going to give us, some inspiration to understand, crypto is not going to go to zero, right? But when I see Gary Gensler again going after Coinbase and Binance, I think the average person who isn't educated about how we're transitioning into a new financial economy, they're going to get scared. They're not going to go and buy their cryptocurrency. And what happens if, you know, we follow through with what's going on with Binance right now, and everyone's accounts are frozen, right?
Right.
So you can't take any of your money off of Binance. So again, we always tell you everyone, when you onboard, you have to onboard through these centralized exchanges, but then you're taking your money off and you're putting it on your hardware wallet. I did buy Engrave, a new hardware wallet. It's a month out. So I'll let everybody know when I get it. And then once I get it set up and use it, I'll give a review. So we'll see how that goes. It's super expensive, but I just wanted to be the guinea pig and just do it because I do like that level of security, It's better than any wallet that's on the market right now, you know, in terms of that of security. So we'll see. I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I know a couple of people that are using it that really, really love it. So I'm curious to see. It's one that I haven't tapped into yet. So that'll be great.
Yeah.
But to your
I'll let
point, to move things off as soon as possible when we buy coins, it's really important.
Right, because again, it's just like, since you know we're in a I like the way I just look at it, we're in a currency war, and the government is going to do everything they can to just FUD people out of the market. Don't buy cryptocurrency. We don't need it. We have the United States digital dollar, and people are going to be like, okay. And like, that's just not, you know, and again, it's just like, I think about like, even how Gary Gensler and the SEC is handling Coinbase, right? So Coinbase is a publicly traded company. You could go to NASDAQ, buy shares in Coinbase. Their ticker symbol is coin. Okay. And then, you know, so they're a publicly traded company. How did they get approval? Well, through the SEC, which means that they had to share their books and,
Right.
you know, dot all their I's, cross all their T's. And then, you know, now we're seeing this. Even in 2021, Gary went in front of Congress and said, under current law, the SEC has no regulatory authority over crypto exchanges. So who does? Is
Right.
it, you know what I mean? And again, Gary keeps saying things and he's doing the opposite. So how can we trust the government? How can we trust that they're protecting investors? That's their job. How is Gary protecting investors if he's, you know, kind of like insinuating that, hey, we're going to freeze all assets on Binance? Thanks, Gary. I feel super safe.
All
You're going
right.
to freeze cryptocurrency on the largest United States based cryptocurrency trading platform. Like, you know, Kelly and I we were talking before. I'm like, Kelly, Gary needs to go. He needs to get fired. And Kelly right away is like, oh, he'll be the next treasurer.
Yeah, he will. I was like, oh, he's just going to replace Janet Yellen, which that, that's anyway, that's a whole nother topic. Everybody needs to be replaced, but not with anybody else who's already currently in office or in a position of stature. Oh, anyway, whole nother
Right.
subject.
Right. So, you know, again, we'll see what happens. There's a lot going on. There was a congressional hearing yesterday. But again, you know, the SEC is going after Coinbase for selling illegal, unregistered securities since 2019. So even though Coinbase, you know, did all of these things, and it says in the documents they can always go back. But, you know, I listened to Gary. Unfortunately, someone's got to. And it's like, he was speaking at MIT because he was a professor there. And he loves Silvio McCallie from Algorand. You
Mm-hmm.
know, what a great project, says all these things. He even said 75% of all cryptocurrencies are not securities, they're commodities. So once he gets into office, and again, his whole career is pretty much with Goldman Sachs, he's a bankster, he's protecting the banks, and they're trying to get this controlled, right? They want to centralize cryptocurrency. And if you wipe out all the tokens and you completely centralize these platforms, one, they're not going to work, and it's not going to work, you know, but he's going to try. Because that's what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess to that point, I mean, that's what I suppose his role is, but it's just for that ultimate control for what the US is trying to have is complete and ultimate control. But we already know that they're losing it on so many fronts.
Yeah.
So by tooth and nail, they're just going to do their best to make life extraordinarily difficult for a while here. So, but we'll keep
Yeah.
on, we just keep on believing in what we know to be true and leaning into what the news is. And thank you for always doing the deep dive on that.
Yeah, thanks. And again, I want to make a mention here. So with this lawsuit with Coinbase, and then we'll just touch base on Binance. Everyone's covering it. We don't really need to like talk about it for an hour. But you know, BlackRock chose Coinbase for their digital asset custodial platform. Okay.
And Coinbase has a deep relationship already with, I mean, like you could have had your tax refund directly deposited into your Coinbase account. So we already know that there's a lot of ties on the backside.
Right, right. So, and so with Binance, it's a little different because we don't know what CZ, the CEO, did. We don't know. I mean, there's 13 different charges against CZ and Binance. So we'll watch it. We'll see how it plays out. But I'm just urging everybody, if you have coins on Binance, you have to get them off today because you don't know if you're going to have access to them tomorrow. And if this lawsuit draws out for 2 years, like the Ripple lawsuit did, you don't want your coins being held hostage.
Right.
Okay. And some of the coins that Gary Gensler is saying is securities is Algorand, okay, Decentraland, Sandbox, Tezos, Cardano,
Yeah.
Cody, which I own,
I do.
know.
I think I own every single one that's on that list. Litecoin is the only one I don't. But yeah, there's also Cosmos is on there. If you mentioned that, I can't remember if you mentioned.
Yeah, so Cosmos is on there, so these are some, and I think at the end of this, we're really gonna see, what platforms are centralized and what platforms aren't. Because like, you take a look at Cardano, Cardano did its initial coin offering in Japan. It has nothing to do with the United States of America. The United States citizens were not part of that. But yet Gary feels like he can go after Cardano. So we'll see how this happens. We'll see how this plays out. But it looks like those proof of stake tokens are in trouble. And if they are, why isn't Ethereum on that list?
Right, I know. I was listening to something yesterday about that as well. It's like you would think that Ethereum would be at the top of that. But again, we know that there's backdoor relationships with that
Yep,
project.
and these emails are coming out on the 13th. We have 5 days. We're gonna see, we'll see what happens. We'll see what's in these emails, and we'll see where the market's at. I wish we're just about to go in a bull cycle. That would be great news for XRP, but I don't know. With all this bad news, we're just gonna see how well XRP is gonna do. But we have a lot of really good news for Ripple that we talked about. So we'll just watch it. Matic was another token that Gary Gensler said is a security. So I wanted to do a deep dive today.
Sure.
Right, Cal? And let's see, with the partnerships and the money and just how their ecosystem is being built out. Let's ask ourselves, is it a security?
All right.
All right. So Colin Butlers is like one of the global heads of institutional capital for Polygon Labs. He did an interview on the Paul Barron's network, and it was a great interview. And basically what Polygon is working on is the scalability of their token Matic, right? So they came out with a brand new technology, and the tech is advancing, which I love to see. Because in order for mass adoption to happen, we need these systems to scale for the masses, right? We need mass adoption. We can't have Ethereum fees be $100, $150 when we're in a bull cycle, because that was out of control. I never want to see that again. And Matic is really going to be able to solve the problem of scalability. It's called ZKEVM. So basically it's like a zero knowledge Ethereum virtual machine kind of platform that's going to make they're going to make transactions 100 times faster than Ethereum. Okay. And it's also going to be 90% cheaper.
Oh,
right, than Ethereum. So what Colin was saying was like, this is kind of like the holy grail for scalability. Okay, so if they pull this off, and I'm taking a look at all their partners, you know, I can see Matic being like a sleeping giant for the next bull cycle. Okay. Because the adoption and the amount of financial companies and just retail, I mean, it's massive. And I'm just going to touch base on a couple of them. The first one I want to talk about is Nike, right, for their NFT platform. Okay. We've been talking about Starbucks.
Right.
Starbucks is about to go live with their loyalty program. So with some of this, it always starts off smaller. But like if you think about, okay, if I'm going to go to Starbucks, I go to Starbucks 5 times a week, you're totally going to sign up for these loyalty rewards. And then you can get like your NFT. Trump did his release, right, for his
Yeah.
NFTs on Polygon.
Yeah, he sure
Okay.
did.
And they went up like 800%.
Huge
Okay.
fundraising. It was a huge, anyway, that's all. Yeah, it was pretty
I
amazing to
didn't
watch,
pay attention.
actually.
You watched it? That's really cool.
Yeah,
I really didn't pay it. I didn't even know, honestly. I just, when I
I
was
was
doing my
really
deep dive.
curious because we don't
Okay.
hear a whole, anyway, we don't hear a whole lot about NFTs right now, but I was really curious when he did that just to see. And it was a speedy, massive influx of income for him. It's a huge, huge success. Anyway,
Yeah, that, I mean, that's awesome. That's awesome. And again, Reddit, right? We talked about that in a, you know, probably a couple months ago, but Reddit, you know, they launched their NFT platform on Polygon. And when the Super Bowl was here, they minted over 1.2 million NFTs on the Polygon, you know, network. Okay. So, you know, that's some. We even have Disney. I saw Dolce and Gabbana, the DraftKings, which I guess it's like a fantasy golf game that's connected to the PGA. They're building their technology on Polygon, right? Then we
right.
have Hamilton Lane, which is a massive investment management company. They're tokenizing their funds on
Uh,
Polygon.
okay, so that's a new, I haven't really gone down that way. I
That's
did
new.
not realize that. So funds are being tokenized as NFTs.
So yeah, if you think about an NFT, and that's such a good point, all it is taking any physical object,
Right,
right, and making it digital. So we hear this narrative of we have a liquidity crisis.
right.
You know, we have no money. That's what liquidity means. Do you have money? Are you liquid or are you not? No, I'm not liquid, right? But you can have all these assets, you can have funds. And once you tokenize these funds, well, guess what? You're creating more liquidity, right? Because you can get in and out of things so much quicker. Same thing with real estate, right? You're taking an e-liquid market, you're tokenizing it, and then you're adding money into the system.
Sure. So they're tokenizing, but they're not putting them into NFTs. They're not putting their funds into NFTs. They're just tokenizing,
Right.
like tokenizing real estate.
Right, right. So and you can have your ownership in an NFT, right? So it's all everything's going to be an NFT.
Yeah.
Everything is going to be an NFT and everything is going to be tokenized. Everything.
Everything. Absolutely.
Everything.
Okay.
Um, the am I okay? All right.
Perfect.
All right, cool. We've been freezing on and off, so hopefully this is good. Um, Something else that we talked about, I wanted to make mention again, is JP Morgan. Okay, let's think about JP Morgan. They did their first DeFi trading. Okay, their first DeFi trade was on the Polygon blockchain. Okay, so again, it's like that's the largest bank in America. They're only going to get larger, right? It's more banks fail. We'll see how many banks JP Morgan can buy, you know, during this transition.
Right.
It's very, very interesting. The other thing I wanted to talk about too is Google Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So Google Cloud made an announcement. This was just a couple of weeks ago that they are 100% behind Polygon's ecosystem to the point where they're a node, right? So if we think about a node, we think about the security for the blockchain and just think of a node as a computer, right? So if I use my computer and I download the Polygon blockchain, then like I have a node that I can hold, you know, Matic on it, and by by having a node, I'm providing stability and security to the blockchain.
Mhm.
Okay. And in return, I get rewards. I get staking rewards for being a node or even just staking my tokens, right? Because I am helping stabilize and secure and decentralize this blockchain. Okay. So Google Cloud is now doing this, making announcements that they're all in to help Polygon expand while they're earning rewards in Matic,
Yeah.
right? So again, Gary, it's not just the dollar, right? If you're going to participate in some of these decentralized finance, or just DeFi platforms, you don't earn rewards in the United States dollar. You earn rewards from that blockchain
Right.
technology.
Right.
Okay,
Exactly.
so it's same thing. If I'm on Ethereum and I'm messing around on Ethereum blockchain, I pay my fees in ETH, right? If I'm staking or if I'm participating in like savings and loans on Aave, like you're paying ETH, you're using those tokens within that. Crypto is not going to zero. I was so fired up the other day because I'm just like, you know what? Like people aren't going to do this. They're going to have fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and they're going
Well,
to miss out.
and that's what they want, right?
Right.
Ultimately, I mean, they really want to keep people out of the markets as much as possible. Those that have been in it for a long time. But as we've always said, and we've said through the years now that we've been doing this, is that the train hasn't left the station yet. I mean, we've been chugging along, but there's still so many opportunities. So that's why we show up every week to encourage people to see past that fear.
Right. And I think it's good too, just so like, we take one blockchain and break it down, right? Because even Franklin Templeton, which we talked about with Stellar,
Mhm.
right? So they have their money market fund and they're expanding it to Polygon. So we have Stellar and now Polygon tokenizing the money market fund for Franklin Templeton that does over $1 trillion of business a year.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this blows my mind, right? And then we have Deutsche Bank and we have Credit Suisse. So they integrated a crypto infrastructure. The firm is called Taurus, right? And
Mhm.
they're tokenizing their custody platforms. And they've integrated Ethereum, Tezos, Cardano, and now Polygon, right? And this is kind of what we've been saying from the beginning is all of these layer one blockchains are going to connect and we're creating this big ecosystem that we can move like the internet of value through these systems, right?
Yeah.
And this is like big time news. So again, it's just like, I don't know. I don't think Tezos was on that list from Gary. And that's the thing too. Very strange, right? That why wasn't it Polkadot and Tezos and Avalanche?
Oh
Like
my gosh, that list could be extraordinarily long. So I'd love to know what the vetting, what was the criteria, all of it, in which those were the select few that were chosen.
yeah, very, very interesting. And I'm pretty sure, I think I had mentioned it a while ago, but Tezos is doing California's like DMV services. Like that's going to be like their blockchain that they chose. So again, it's just like we got to stay away from the FUD and we have to do the research. And then we have to understand that as we get closer and closer to mass adoption, like think about it, okay? we had we had a congressional hearing yesterday, right? And of course I listened to it, and it was actually very, very good. Senator Warren wasn't there. Brad Sherman wasn't there. Like all the idiots that just spew nonsensical nonsense, they were gone. It was a very good conversation with the CFTC, with the lawyer from Coinbase. I think the CEO of Robinhood was there. And again, it's just like they talked about, the SEC tells us to come in and and we have to like, you know, comply and register with the SEC, but when we go and do it, we can't.
Right.
Because you can't, how do you register a decentralized cryptocurrency? No one's in charge. It's not like, it's not, you know, it's not like Apple that is in charge of its stock. It's not like that. So I think what we're going to see is centralized tokens will probably fall under the SEC. Decentralized tokens are going to fall under the CFTC, which is the Commodities Futures Trading Association, or we're going to create a new like a new framework, right, within this. And there's a new bill that's about to be dropped that's basically going to talk about this, you know, the centralization of tokens, the decentralization of tokens. And once we get a bill signed, Kel, right? Once we have regulatory clarity, what's going to happen is all the institutions and all of the companies are going to start making announcements, because we know BlackRock is in it, JP Morgan is in it, Deloitte is in it, Bank of America is using Ripple technology. They're all going to start making their announcements, and trillions of dollars are going to flow into cryptocurrency. And if you're not in it now, when the market is down and when there's massive fear, we buy. We dollar cost average in, we not financial advice, we dollar cost average in, and we just wait. We have to have patience. This could take 2 years. I don't know, but I do know that we are going to get a bill signed, right? Because we already have like 30 other countries are working on it. Bills are starting to get passed. It makes sense that the United States isn't first, right? We have the world reserve currency. That's why Gary's freaking out. You know, like we've weaponized the dollar. They're weaponizing the government against us now. I mean, they're weaponizing it against the United States citizens. Yep. It's unbelievable, unbelievable. But at the end of the day, the next wave, like even if we crash, even if Bitcoin goes down to 3,000, it's a gift. And you dollar cost average, because you know we're going up, folks. We're going up. El Salvador just raised a ton of money to use their volcano to mine for Bitcoin. Come on. You know, we're seeing it over and over again. So it's like, whatever these people say, make a note, write it down, do some research.
Yeah, exactly. If there's an article you come across that's spreading fear, then it's something to lean into, because there's a golden egg behind the curtain.
Right? So, I know. I mean, it's kind of unbelievable, you know? But, and again, like I was really fired up the other night, because I'm just like, people are going to miss out on the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of the world. I mean, it's happening right in front of our eyes.
And that's why we do what we do here at Two Women in Crypto, but both of us in our own respective parts of the country, because Andrea, as you all know, she's in Florida. I'm on the Pacific Northwest. I'm here in Portland. So we each have our, you know, groups that we work with that are independent of each other, but the goal is to share and encourage as many people to lean into this possibility, into this window of time. So share, please, folks, share with your friends and family and your coworkers, you know, create some, begin to have people scratch their chin and step out of line and ask questions, because the majority of the people are not. The majority of the population will stand in line, and we're not about that.
Yeah. And I mean, and the other thing is too, it's just like, I look at, you know, like the benefits and the potential of cryptocurrency, the decentralization of our money and our assets, right? Some of them are property, whatever it is. But like, what's our choice? What's the other option? Right? Because when Gary Gensler is screaming in the TV, we don't need other digital money. We have the digital dollar. Well, are you going to make that into a central bank digital currency that's programmable, that you can control? how much money we can spend and where we can spend it. Because if that's our only option with physical gold and silver on the side, that those are not good options, folks, right? It's
Right.
just not a good option. So we want this. We want to decentralize our money. We want the SEC, we want some of these government agencies to have less power, not more. Because in Canada, they're getting ready to roll out their central bank digital currency. The lady, I don't know her name, but the lady was talking yesterday and she was just like, we don't need a central bank digital currency now, but we might tomorrow. I
Right.
mean, you
Well,
know
I
what I
mean,
mean?
yeah,
What's the
and in the
point,
UK,
lady?
so in the UK, they're rolling out universal basic income.
Right.
So, I mean, and yes, they're only, if you look into and you do the research, they're only going to be testing it on 30 people for the next 2 years to see the success. Well, it's going to be successful because they're going to take marginalized individuals and say, here's 1,600 pounds or euros a month. How is it going to make your life better? Well, I can, so I mean, there's so many things going on out there.
Right, right. There's a lot of things going on, and
Yeah,
a lot of it is out of our control. And like as we move into like this like high tech world, right? We just want to be prepared because if you don't, I mean, I don't know, like if I had a 9 to 5 job and I had to have a corporate meeting and I had to put a VR headset on, I don't I don't want to do that. But we're moving into this world. And I don't want to participate in that way. But I have my Bitcoin, my Ethereum, and my theory is as we get into this mass adoption, then, financially, we don't have to do that. We don't have to put a headset on our head. We don't have to, like, as we're typing keystrokes, the machine is collecting all of our data and our movements, right? Creating algorithms specifically for us. And we're helping the machines learn, and they're not even paying us for it.
right. Yeah.
And data is more valuable than oil. Okay. So data is the most valuable asset right now in the world, and they are collecting it for free. It's
Well,
just,
yeah, you'd be interesting. You think about, excuse me, gold back currencies.
right.
Or crude back currencies. I wonder if there could ever be a data backed currency.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think there very well could be.
There
Who knows?
very well could be that, we should definitely keep our eye on that as well. Um, you know, So the other thing I liked about the congressional hearing is like people are actually saying like we have a chairman of the SEC that has gone rogue, like, and again, it's kind of theater because as much as they bash him, again, like Kelly, think about it. Is there a lawsuit? Like, did the SEC sue FTX? No.
Yeah.
So that was bigger than Enron. And we're just like, hey, there's FTX2 coming, folks, because they're in bed with the banksters and Gary Gensler, you know, Maxine Waters. There's all these pictures. She's got her arm around, Sam Bankman Fried, throwing them kisses like during like a congressional meeting. These people are so protected, but yet just keep going after Coinbase, who has done everything right. Like, I don't know if Binance did everything right, but we know Coinbase did, you know? And instead of suing them, sit down and say, hey, Algorand's a security. And
Right.
this is why you like delist it for now and then let Silvio Macaulay and the team from Algorand, work through that. Don't just go and you're stealing money from these people, and why is that? Because Coinbase is part of the open banking system, and we need Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan and Bank of America and Wells Fargo to be able to custody our digital assets. So there's no competition. If there's no competition and we don't have a free market, that's called China.
Uh,
Right? I mean, like we do not have a free market. This is socialism, communism, right? And normally socialism eventually goes into communism. You don't have as much freedoms. So you could see how like Canada is just like ban, they'll just ban your assets. They ban your money. You can't question the government.
right. No,
And,
absolutely not.
and that's not a good world. That's not the world that we want to go down, folks. So when Gary Gensler says, hey, we have a digital dollar, we got to be like, no, no. So you could go to crypto law and you can actually contact your senators and your congressmen, and it's all right there. And you could change the words. It was pretty harsh, like some of the wording, but I made it a little bit nicer and then just sent it. But it's all done. And just if they know we're watching them,
Yeah, exactly.
right? It's the same thing with the Ripple lawsuit, right? 75,000 people signed that Ripple lawsuit, right? John Deaton is representing, the XRP holders. So the judge knows and the SEC knows we are watching. We are watching, and we need to do the same thing with central bank digital currencies.
Absolutely. July 1st is when our FedNow app goes live too.
Yeah. Yep. So interesting how the timing is lining up. Go after all the on and off ramps for cryptocurrency just before the Fed Now payments is about to be launched.
Exactly. It really, it's like, really, you really can't make this up. When you look at the whole landscape and put all the pieces of the puzzle together, the timing is impeccable.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. It's unbelievable. It's kind of like we're watching this in real time and just sitting there drinking our coffee and being like, this is fascinating.
Yeah,
This is
really.
fascinating. And I gotta say, in my heart, I feel, people will rise and we won't go into this social credit, even though they're pushing it, with the CBDC and the social credit score and the environmental social governance, it's just very, very interesting. And we have to stop it because what's happening is we're seeing the ESG being pushed, right? It's
Mhm.
in the schools, it's in the corporations. The corporations are trying to socially engineer the way people think. Okay. Anheuser Busch, Target, all these companies. I'm gay. I'm not homophobic. Been married to my wife for like 11 years, right? And I've been gay since I was born. But I'm telling you guys, when you look at Target and then you look at Anheuser Busch, who are the top people that invest into these companies? It's BlackRock, it's Vanguard, environmental, social, governance. So the social part is just, it's debilitating our society. It's destabilizing our society. It has nothing to do with gay rights, zero to do with gay rights. They're doing this to just push us to have conflict, and they want to change capitalism, right? I mean, that's part of it into this ESG, which is going to be connected to a social credit score.
Right. Yeah, it's a
So I'm
very
urging you,
agenda.
yeah, this isn't about Ford being pro gay. Okay. This is about Ford getting their money from BlackRock. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to give it to them. They're not. They froze the funds for Capital One and Keystone Bank a couple weeks ago because their discrimination policy wasn't up to their ESG standards.
Right. Yep.
Is this the world that everyone wants to live in? And how about your children? Okay, because do you have the right to live the life that you want, or does the government have the right to tell you how to live your life because you are not capable of making your own decisions? This is where we're heading, and I'm telling you right now, we're going to win because I'm fired up.
Yeah, no, as we all should be. And a lot of people aren't leaning into all of that. And, these public officials that have been taking this, I mean, I should say this. The people that are making the biggest decisions are not elected public officials.
Exactly. These are unelected folks, you
Yes.
know?
They're people
So
that have been self-appointed gods, quote unquote.
yeah,
So,
yeah. And if things get really, really bad, you can reach out to one of our sponsors, Markley Mobile, and go get yourself a home in the country. You
yeah,
know what
yeah.
you know what I mean? You know, and make sure your computer is 100% up to date and secure, right?
With
With
Computer Diva.
with Computer Diva. I mean, you know, we have these awesome sponsors that help, you know, keep us going here at Two Women in Crypto. And it's just like any kind of notary and any kind of security, you know, with your computer, like we have you covered.
And we take security really serious here. As a matter of fact, if you have the opportunity to have a computer that's dedicated only to cryptocurrency and your financial well-being, I would highly suggest that. And then always have computerdiva.biz there behind the scenes, keeping that secure as well. So yeah, very, very important and grateful for those two sponsors.
Yeah, and we'll have the links. We always have the links for them, you know, on the bottom. And for now too, like if you have to on and off ramp some of your crypto tokens, I mean, you could still use Uphold. For some reason, Uphold is just, they are out of the limelight. I know they're in London, that's where they're based, but they do a lot of business in the United States. And for some reason, you don't even hear about anything with the SDC because we usually know, right, Kel? Like we'll know because we're in it. We hear rumors and we'll start following it. And it's like, we knew that Binance was going to get sued, right? Now, you know, but Uphold, it's kind of like Ethereum. They get a free pass, right?
Yeah, I mean, for Uphold, same thing though. Don't keep your money on
Don't,
there.
yeah,
Buy your purchases, make your purchases, and move them off into a cold storage as soon as possible.
exactly, exactly. And then like, you know, some of the things that we do is like we'll just like, you know, we'll just build up our USDC, like, you know, especially for me, like on SafePal. And then when there's a dip in the market, I can just swap my USDC for Bitcoin, Ethereum, you know, Songbird, whatever token you want to buy. It, you know, SafePal has so many, you know.
Yeah, lots of
So
options out there, really, but just be safe out there.
that's it. That's
Thing.
all we can do. And it's going to be a bumpy road. You know, it's a bumpy road to adoption, but we are moving forward. We are getting closer and closer. You know what I say? We have 5 days for these Hinman emails. Hopefully it's not going to be like a nothing burger and they made all this hype up about it, you know.
Well, who
But
knows? There's always
yeah,
an agenda behind it, so we'll find out soon.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
Well, everybody have a beautiful week. We will see you next week. And I guess until next time, what do we say?
Hodl on.
Bottle on.